right, Lachlan, are you ready?
And I know people have this on their calendars every week, but it is moving to Thursdays now. So go into your daily planner and update it, because every Thursday, me and occasionally my beard are going to set people straight.
People get pumped up for this.
Hey, I get fired up. It's fun.
We're going to go ahead and jump straight into the very first one. Russ Smith made the right decision staying at Louisville.
I'm going to say nay, and I know that, oh, isn't it great that he's coming back to graduate, and he wouldn't have been in, look, he was going to be in the NBDL if he decided to stay, and on that concept, do you want to have another year of glory at college or get paid $20,000 a year in the NBDL? I still think the overseas option would have been best for Russ. They will pay big bucks, especially for an exciting, dynamic player like him. He's 22 years old. Your window to earn money, I mean, let's be practical, it's not that long. By the time you're 28, 29, you're too old. So he's giving up a year of earning to do what? That's the big question. If he obviously believes, and Rick is telling him that he can get into the first round, I just have trouble seeing that. If he can get significant minutes at point, he can definitely improve his chances. But he's not a point guard. He's a scoring guard. So I know it goes against the grain. But if I was Russ's family, I would have told him, take your chance to get paid.
I like that he wants to come back and get a degree, but I'm definitely agreeing with you, because if he thinks he has better chances in next year's draft, that one's just going to be incredibly difficult too. So hopefully,
although it is predicated on a bunch of young kids, and who knows how they'll turn out after a year in school. But he's a risk either way. I mean, there's no question. There was no obvious answer for him. I did think it was interesting what Tim Sullivan in the Courier said today when Russ was explaining why he came back. He almost sounded like a guy trying to rationalize and convince himself. Yeah, exactly. So he wants to be getting paid to play. He's not. There are some good reasons, though, to stick around.
Now, moving on to another Louisville basketball player who may potentially be continuing his basketball career just in a different way. Peyton Siva will be drafted, yay or nay?
I'm going to say nay again, and I'm a guy who's just not as high on Peyton Siva as most people, and I understand why people like him because, and I've said this before, at his best, he's tremendous. I mean, and you can put a highlight clip, you can put a mixtape together of Peyton Siva, he's a first-round pick. I just don't see it consistently enough. I think the fact that with like a couple weeks to go in his senior year, he was getting benched at Syracuse for Kevin Ware. There's just not enough consistent performance. He was a 40% shooter this year. It's not enough shooting ability. He's obviously quick. He's obviously a great player, and it wouldn't surprise me to see him find an NBA team and find a role to play. But when you look at what's out there, when you look at potential, and that's why they draft, I think there is more potential with other players at other positions.
I agree. I think that's another guy that could benefit the most from playing in Europe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the good news for these guys is that there are other opportunities, and if you want to stay in the States, you're not going to make a lot of money. But if you're willing to go learn a different language, experience a little different culture, and foreign money, they don't take any taxes out, and they pay your housing, so it all goes right to the bottom line.
There's good points for all of it.
Yeah.
So. With Russ returning to Louisville, along with a number of current players who now have Final Fours and a national championship under their belt, like we were talking about earlier, Louisville will beat Kentucky at Rupp Arena next season, yay or nay?
I'm going to say nay, but I'm going to say settle down, UK fans, with the 40-0 and blah, blah, blah. We've talked about that. But, I mean, look, John Calipari's record at Rupp is awesome. You have to kind of almost throw this year out as an outlier with the weird losses to Baylor and what. And Cal at Rupp, you don't mess with that, I think Russ will come in, and he's got a great track record at Rupp Arena, but I still think that's a pretty formidable environment, and UK is going to be very good. I'm not knocking them, so I think you have to go for the home team in that rivalry.
Rupp Arena is a scary place when it's on fire, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Now, Louisville has gotten a lot of great recruits recently with men's, women's, basketball, football, and with social media being a main staple in today's world, Twitter has become an outlet for people to voice whether they like where a recruit's going or not. Fans should not tweet to recruits, yay or nay.
What a great question, Leslie. And that is yay with a capital Y. I mean, we saw it with Matt Elam this week. The football player wore a UK sweatshirt to school, and then the Louisville fans there's so much immaturity. The thing about Twitter is there's no filter. So the dumbest 1% going to get through, and they'll represent the entire fan base. And I'm sure that's not, I hear from them as well. And the constant struggle I have as a radio host is to say, that's not really the fan base, the ones who email profanity or tweet or whatever. I think you've got to take that option away from fans and just, because they can't control themselves. At some point, they're like little children. They have to be told no.
When I talked to Matt Elam a couple months ago and we went up to interview him, he's one of those kids, he's a junior. He's so torn. He had on a Western sweatshirt that day. I mean, it's not a big deal. He has no idea where he's going. But I said, what about the people talking to you? And he said, oh, I'm getting it from everyone. You know, not only his friends, family, but when you're getting it from online people that you have no idea who they are, it's really hard to filter that out, especially when you're 16 years old.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, how are you really going to help? If you're tweeting a kid, is he really going to make his college decision? Oh, Anonymous 3 said I should go to UK.
I'm
Done,
going.
you know? I mean, I just don't understand what people think they're accomplishing.
All right, and finally, our last one, really quick. Rick Pitino has had arguably one of the best years of his life. Could continue next weekend at the Derby. Golden Sense will win the Kentucky Derby. Let's test your horse knowledge. Nay or nay?
Nay. First, don't bet on him because you're going to get no value because every person and their mother and their brother is going to bet on him. And he does. He's one of the top 5, but the streak has got to end at some point. The good luck streak, at some point, there's got to be equilibrium. I say it ends in the Derby.